going to say anything that anybody hasn't said already. I know I'll sound like a broken record, one of those books that I've referenced. I don't think you can overemphasize truth telling. I think it's real easy in the world to get caught up in the, shaving a little bit of the edge on a fact or on a piece of truth. It's like what we say to our kids: when you lie, you may get away with it now, but it will always come back. It will always come back to you. And it's not just for kids.
Let me tell a story about that a little bit, because this is something that was, I don't know.
Did I lie to you?
No, you didn't lie to me. Back in the day,
as far as you know.
Back in the day, my wife Leah used to coach with us at Crete, or at that point we were Tribe. So she was a trainer. And she was just more involved with the business. This was before we had kids. She was more involved. And we would have team meetings occasionally. Now we have them a lot. But back then we would have them on occasion. And most meetings, Leah and I would butt heads. In the meeting, in front of the team, not a good situation at all. I would get frustrated with her, and I would, kind of talk ugly to her. I just would. I would be disrespectful towards her and talk ugly to her. And, it was, you step back from the situation, the meeting ends, you step back and when you cool down and you think about it, you're just like, man, that sucked. Like, that was poor leadership. And I would go to my team usually the next day, and I would say, look, I'm sorry. Like, the way I talked to Leah yesterday was wrong. It was disrespectful, and it was just inappropriate, And I believe that there's nothing else that I have done as a leader that gave me more credibility as a leader than that, and it's truth telling. It's because everybody in the room knew that what I was doing was not good, not appropriate, and so instead of kind of acting like it didn't happen, sweeping it under the rug, whatever, it's just like, hey, look, I'm just going to bring this to the light. I'm just going to tell the truth here. I'm going to admit it, and obviously that's not fun to do, Nobody likes to screw up. Nobody likes to be wrong. But just looking back on that, I'm thankful and I'm glad that I did that, because it really was big for me in terms of the team respecting me,
Yeah, that's awesome. And you see people who, practice telling lies once in a while, and it's like, we can kind of smell that, but it's not too bad. And then you see people who are, a little bit beyond that, and it's like really bad, and everything that they say, you're like, this is not true. I know this is not true. And then there's people that, commit murder and lie and think they're going to get away with it. And the more that you practice it, the further disconnected you get from reality. Because not only are you lying to other people, but you're also lying to yourself. And the more we practice telling lies, the further we disconnect ourselves from reality. And Kelly, what you do really well is you tell truth, and you're super connected to the reality of who you are and what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. And you put people in the right seat on the bus to, cover yourself and to, build the team. And the more we can practice telling truth, the more we can become connected with reality and what needs to happen. And I don't know, I see you two as both really, really good at that. Something that I hope to do more in my life.
Well, you know what they say about lying is it's really hard to lie because you always have to remember who you told what.
Right.
And, the folks that I've worked with who struggle with that, that's where they get caught. Oh, so-and-so said this. No, they didn't. They said this. And, all of a sudden you've got them in a pickle. And so it's just so much easier to tell the truth. It may hurt to tell the truth.
Right.
It may cause anxiety to tell the truth, but it's so much easier because you always know where you stand, and you don't have something out there like a boomerang waiting to come back and just hit you in the forehead. And, I know. I mean, I've watched it live out in real life and in all kinds of situations, and just, man, tell the truth. And so, I mean, that just goes with integrity, making sure that you're trying to live your life with integrity every day. You're going to fail. You're going to have places where you break down, or you're not 100% on something, but your goal needs to be that level of integrity. And then I think the other thing I would say, it goes a little bit to what we were saying earlier. If you're in a leadership position, I don't know if this is the right word, but have the guts to have the humility that it takes to know you're not the strongest person in that room at some particular task, and have the guts to admit it, to show that kind of humility like you did with your team, to say, look, I messed up. I can tell you, I remember a situation that I was in a previous job where, in an open meeting with a big group of my team, I said something I should. I presented something in a way that was fairly dismissive of them, and afterwards, I thought, wow, we just had this great presentation, and like people were really low key about it, and like, did they hear the same thing that I just thought I was delivering? And I totally missed the mark. And as it sort of, I went through the day and stuff started getting revealed to me, I realized, oh my gosh, I just completely circumvented this team and made a decision really unilaterally, and a decision that they should have been a part of. And then I presented it and I said, aren't you all happy about this decision I've made that I didn't consult you? And I called them back in the next day and said, I have to apologize. I am so sorry I did this. And I think that helped significantly with that team. There were other issues with that team that came out later, but I think they were shocked to hear a VP step up and say, I blew it. I blew it in front of you, and I'm telling you I blew it, and I'm sorry, and I learned. And I just think that we need to represent God in the way that we interact with people, and that requires humility.